and welcome back to Financial Minds Meet the Experts. I'm your host, Jaime Agostino. On this podcast, we're joined by financial industry experts to talk about topics, trends, and themes that credit union professionals need to know about. Today, we are sitting down with George Nahodil, retiring CEO of Members First Federal Credit Union. George, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jaime. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, before we get started, would you mind just telling our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, Jaime, I've been with Members First Federal Credit Union. We're a $7.2 billion credit union in central Pennsylvania. I've been here for 23 years. I love the credit union industry. I'm a father of two, a grandfather of two, and I've been married to my wife for 36 years, who I've known from high school, and I'll be retiring in the next 3 months from Members First, and it's been a very good run for me.
All right. Well, tell me, how did you become involved in credit unions?
Well, it's interesting. I think I was working for TransUnion, which was a credit bureau. And so I was dealing with a lot of different financial institutions. And Members First came to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming to work for us? And, we'd like you to come and be our vice president of lending." And without going into all details, I ended up coming on board as the senior vice president of marketing at Members First 23 years ago. And so, to their credit, and I think it's really important for people to do this, is you've got to go into the marketplace and find talent. You've got to find people that you think are going to help your credit union. Yeah. And so Members First did, and for me personally, I'm so glad that they did. So,
all right. So, what was that pivotal moment in your career when you knew you would spend the rest of your career in the credit union industry?
So I always had a job where the numbers were all that mattered. Right. Everything. The only thing that mattered was the numbers. Where are your numbers at? Are you making money for the company? And when I came to Members First, and it was a totally different environment, I was so used to selling and being responsible for numbers, and I still am responsible for numbers. But it's not all about the numbers at Members First or at other credit unions. It really was about the people, and your actions were as important as the numbers. And when that happened, I was probably 40 years old, and I knew that, wow, this is a place that I can control my own destiny, and I can literally make a difference if I just do my job. I'm never going to have to worry. And it really turned out to be the case, because everything we do is about how does it impact our members.
Well, I'm sure, during your career, you've seen, periods of success and challenges. What would you say was the highlight of your career in the credit union industry, and why?
Wow. That is such a loaded question, because there have been so many great things that have happened at Members First, for example. Initially, our whole thing was about growing the credit union, and we grew from 500 million to 3 billion, and then we grew from 3 billion to 7 billion. And it really makes you proud that we are serving 550,000 members. And so for me, we used to always say, you either grow or you die. And so I'm very proud. I mean, and it was difficult. It's a lot of work. But the thing that I'm really most proud of is, again, the focus on people over profits. It's just, even during the pandemic, okay, which everyone is aware of, we didn't lay anyone off. We continued to serve our members. We even did PPP loans to try to help people through the pandemic. And so, and we've never had a layoff in the history of our organization. So, so it really makes you, they're the things that I think about when I think about a credit union. And, and it really makes you proud to work at a credit union.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what was one of the most challenging moments and what helped you get through it?
Wow. For me, it's a pretty easy answer. Back in 2017, our president here at Members First, Bob Marquette, who had been here for a long time, he passed away, and he passed away very suddenly. And it was a very impactful day for me because Bob was my friend. He was my boss. He had done so many good things for our credit union and in the credit union industry. And when he passed, it was very, very emotional for me. The board named me the interim president. So the day that he passed away, it was July 3rd, because I remember in the morning I woke up, his brother had called me. That night, I had my first grandchild. My first grandchild was born. So, I literally said to myself, God took someone away and God brought someone down for us, right? I mean, so it was I can't express to you how emotional that time was for me. And that is probably the thing that I remember the most. And the thing that got me through that challenge was the people that I work with. I had people had worked with here that they rallied. I had a gal that I still work with, Jill Conway, that was just, I mean, she's like family to me, and she stood by me, and we helped, and we put this credit union back up on its foundation when Bob died, and we've kind of moved forward. So that was a really, really tough time, but it all turned out well, and it makes you a stronger person. I think it makes you a better leader, a more empathetic leader, and a more understanding person. So, and thankful for the people that are here that helped me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. A team of support when you need it, and everyone rallied. I remember that time very much so.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Very
So how has the role of the credit union changed during your career?
Oh, wow. The technology, Jamie, is just, I remember when we did everything either over the phone,
Yeah.
okay, in person. And now the technology has really become a big part of our business. We still want to have those three channels, right? The call center, the in-person branches, and the technology. But technology has really become a real challenge, I think, for all of us in this industry. And I think all businesses are having this difficult time keeping up with technology. And I think the other thing for us in the credit union world is the additional services that our members need and desire, things like, not only those digital services, but things like investment services, things like business accounts. We started doing business loans and opening up business accounts, not because we wanted to do it. It was because our members said, can you do this for us? And so when our members said, can you do this for us? We were like, well, we got so many requests. I guess we need to start doing this. So we listen to our members and we listen to what they need, and so to me, you've got to have that expanded services level where, you're offering mortgages, Visa, investment services, business accounts. I mean, because that's what people need and want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So what is your favorite part of the credit union industry?
Wow. Listen, hands down, the people in this industry are very caring and sharing people. They're passionate about people. And I think that is the main reason why I've stayed here and why I love this industry, is because it's not just a saying. I think people actually live this. People helping people. I mean, it's real. It's alive. And even though we are a big credit union, we still live this slogan of three legs of our stool. We want to make where we live a better place by giving back to our communities. We want to treat our members and make their lives better financially and do everything we can to do that. And the third leg of our stool is we want to make sure that our employees, our associates, are happy and well paid and well compensated. And so, with those three legs of our stool, and I think a lot of credit unions, that's how they run their business. And if you don't lose sight of that concept. People helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely what I love the most about our industry as well. It's just our purpose, serving others and the people we get to work with every day. So
yeah, and I mean, just think about our boards. I mean, we happen to have a wonderful board. I mean, these are people that volunteer their time to come and spend time. It's a requirement for us to have a board, and so finding really good quality people, it's hard. And I think that, I've been blessed with a phenomenal board that has been very supportive of our credit union and is very focused not only on our members, but also the associates. They care about members and associates.
So, any words of wisdom to maybe someone aspiring to be the next CEO of a credit union?
Wow, listen. There's a couple of things for me. The first and foremost is you've got to put the time in. If you think that you can do a CEO job in 40 hours a week, you cannot. Okay. It's a full-time commitment. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to work 15 hours a day, but if you really want to be successful, you've got to put the time in. That means not only time in the office, but it's time outside in the community. And so it's not 40 hours just in the office. It's the time in the office, time out of the office, building relationships inside your organization and inside in your community, and that takes time. So my job might be 40 hours a week. That I can get my job done in 40 hours a week, but then there's another 15 hours a week that I'm out in the community, doing things to build relationships with people. And so, again, I think it's really important that relationships matter. And then the other thing that I would say to you is that you have to go and get educated. Now, I know that, I can tell you at Members First, our CEO has to have an MBA. It's a requirement. Now, I hate saying that because I don't want to sound like a degree snob. Okay, because there are a lot of people that are very successful and they do not have a degree. Okay, but if you're going to be a CEO of a $4, $7, $10 billion organization, you have to go back to school and get your MBA. Okay. And so I say to you and anyone else that's looking, that's 30 years old, 40 years old, 20 years old, 50 years old, that wants to go and continue to move up, go back to school. An MBA, I believe, is, like 10 classes, maybe it's 8 classes, right? But go take the 2 or 3 years that it takes. You can do it online and get your MBA. So that's really important.
All right. So, George, here's the fun question. What are you going to do in retirement?
Oh, wow. Well, first and foremost, I do want to, I'm going to have the time to reconnect with old friends and family members that I've neglected over the years, right? I've got a friend from high school that I'm trying to, not trying, we are reconnecting, friends from college, friends from the neighborhood, family members that I haven't seen, and spent a lot of time with because, you're so busy with work. And now I'm going to be able to have the time to really spend with people and, nurture those relationships. And then the other thing for me, which is I'm stressing out about this, is trying to find my purpose. Like, what is my purpose moving forward? Is it volunteering to help the world be a better place? And I don't want to sound corny, but like, I need to have some purpose. I need to wake up in the morning and say, what am I doing today? And so I'm hoping that that I can figure out some of those things and find some good nonprofits that I can kind of get involved with and mix in some pleasure with, having some purpose. But I think all of us the world is so busy. You're so busy working and taking care of your families that you really don't have a lot of time for yourself, And so, I'm also trying to see if I can, figure out, hey, who am I? What do I like to do besides work? And and do what other people want me to do. So, and I know that sounds weird, but to me, I'm a servant leader. And so I always eat last. I always make sure our people are taken care of before I am. And I think that's something that hopefully I'll be able to say, hey, maybe I can figure out, maybe I can go get myself in better shape. Okay. Obviously I need a haircut. I could go get a haircut, right? Go do something for myself. And because I think a lot of us neglect ourselves, okay, when you're working and taking care of a family. And, so you got to make a little time for yourself.
Yeah. Well, George, thank you so much for joining me. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, listen, kindness is the best thing you can do. If you are kind to people, even people you don't like, all right, kindness goes a long way. You'll make a better place. You'll make your organization a better place. And you will get ahead a lot faster and a lot further by being kind to people and being empathetic and caring. So that's my big spiel that I have here at work that I believe in wholeheartedly.
All right. George, thank you. Really, I'm honored that you were willing to be on the podcast. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Jamie, my pleasure. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
All right.
And as always, to my listeners, thanks for listening. Make it a great day.